I'm going to read you a couple of passages from Matthew, and the first one is from Matthew chapter 13. This is the Word of God. Listen carefully. Real simple, real quick. Don't let it go by without catching it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. And then Jesus, again, earlier says, and we've heard this for a couple of weeks now, but it ties into the whole sabbatical journey and this return from sabbatical. Matthew 5:13 and 14. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. This is God's word. We give thanks. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. And from his fullness have we all received. Hallelujah. Amen. I'm going to get into this sermon by having you help me. There's a big difference between what you see and what you hear. I'm pretty much a visual learner and not so good auditorily, and yet here I do auditory week after week after week. So I'm going to blend it today, and I'm going to have you read with me out loud the first couple of paragraphs of the sermon, okay? So are you ready? Let's say it together. Two very different realities. I will be versus he has made me be. I will do versus he has done. Earn versus receive. Imperative versus indicative. Everyone tries to find in a little ground a little of me and a little of him partnership. But humble in faith realizes that it can only be none of me and all of him. Paul said, all of my righteousness is like filthy rags. None of my goods, but all of his goods. That's what we talked about last week while looking at Jesus' pronouncement. You are the salt of the earth, and you are the light of the world, bringing out flavors to the tongue, not just of our body, but our whole being, and bringing out sights to the eyes, not just of our body, but of our whole being. In being salt and light, we bring out God. Taste and see creation, and by so doing, take the small, grand step of tasting and seeing the Creator. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Now, a way of putting what I have preached is this: be what you are. Not be what you should be, but be what you are. You are salt and you are light. Don't force this by your effort, but let it come out of you by His grace. So that was the angular message, and you remember today's message is going to be preposterous. Preposterously true. You know, I still ask, even though I preach be what you are, I go, how? How do you do that? And you know, I know we say, oh, with macrame or calligraphy, be what, you're a human being, not a human doing. I gotta say, I get lost on the subtlety of that a little bit. I still end up going, well, how do you be what you are? How do I bring out God flavors, God colors, God Himself? You're going to love this answer. There's an answer. You're going to love it. It's so non-painful. It's so delightful. It's so down your It's going to be, in your mind, too good to be true and too simple for somebody as smart as you. And so I want to encourage you to believe that something can be too good and true, and that you're smart enough to take something simple rather than bypass it. You know, I have to admit, from time to time, a little bit this week even, I've had a malaise about some of the things on my to-do list. They are really have-tos. And you know what my prayer has been? Lord, invade the have-to and fill it with want-to. Have you ever been there? Yeah. Okay. So the answer is full of want-to. I don't even have to teach you about how to. I just got to point out how much you want to. Ready? Now, before I give you the answer, and I will in just a moment, I want you to see why it's so not painful, why it is so down your alley. And it's largely because it is totally in line with how we were designed and made. Voila. Now, just generally, do you really have to cajole a little boy to wrestle with his daddy? No, it's in their DNA. That's the way they were made. And generally, do you have to ask a woman if she wants a handsome crooner to sing a romantic ballad to her? No, it's in her DNA. And generally, do you have to ask a hungry teenage boy if he'd like to eat a hamburger? Oh, come on, let's not be ridiculous. He's built with a stomach and hormones and growth. Is just designed to devour hamburger after hamburger after hamburger after hamburger. Or how about honeymooners with sex? Do we have to talk them into it? No! It's in the design. So, this answer, God designed us for a purpose He wants. It would be ludicrous for an engineer to design something opposed to what he's seeking from it. Oh, you want to have inputs into this machine so you don't build a place to do inputs? That'd be nuts. Guess what? God isn't nuts. He's got a plan. He designed us for His plan, and that's why it fits so well and is right down our alley. Can anybody agree with this? Okay, that's it. There's one. Anybody else? It makes sense. Just think about it, okay? So, how do we bring out God flavors and God colors and God Himself? Here's the answer. You ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We bring out by going in. That's it. We bring out by going in. We're going to have cake to my right and your left. It's going to say happy anniversary on it. And I can do one of two things with respect to that cake. I could say to you, it's from Publix. Publix does a good job in the bakery department. You should have some. That's one thing I could do. Or I could go in there and just really not even paying attention to you, take a bite, put it in my mouth and go, OMG! My goodness, my gosh, this is incredible. Can I have a second piece? And look, if there's any left over, make sure it goes home with me. Which of the two approaches brings out the flavor of the cake more? Which brings it out to you more? The second. So the answer is really, when we say go in, it means put the cake in, taste the cake, enjoy. Enjoy lustily, loudly, gladly, freely, happily. We bring out the flavor by going into the flavor. You're going to have to think about this. Now, I have a friend who owned an Ace Hardware store up in Virginia. One of his economic maxims was, if you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. Well, here's the application point. Take care of living delighted, and the rest will take care of itself. You know, C.S. Lewis once said, it is a Christian duty, as you know, for everyone to be as happy as he can be. Did you think it was kind of the opposite, that it was our Christian duty to be sour and miserable? It is a Christian duty, as you know, for everyone to be as happy as he can be. I used to have a book. I might still have it, but I think I loaned it to my wife, who loaned it to her best friend, who may have loaned it to somebody. I don't know if I still have this book. I hope I do. I wish I did. It's called Befriend Your Desires. Befriend your desires. Why? Where did the desires come from? Who made you with desires? Who made you with a stomach that would desire a hamburger? God did. It would be silly for him to give you a stomach and there be no such thing as hamburgers. So, God said to Abraham in a paradigmatic verse in Genesis 12:2, I will bless you to bless every one of you. I will bless you to bless all. Guess what? That's blessing as a strategy and blessing as a goal. Both. A strategy and a goal. How are we going to get to goal? By blessing you. What's the goal? Blessing you. How are we going to get to everyone being blessed? By blessing you. So, kind of relating it to Matthew, tasting salt, you are salt. How do I be salt? Taste salt. Being lit, you are light. How do you be light? You get lit. I'm sure in the common parlance of the day, you're not supposed to say that. Go out and get lit. But you heard it here at First Presbyterian Church. Smelling, you are aroma. Enraptured with song, you are music. Blessed, you are a blessing. Which means we got to go out and smell the roses. Listen to the songs. Taste the cake. Take in the light. This is God's design related to the DNA of our being. It's God's strategy. Us happy makes him happy. You happy makes other people happy. Us happy is us alive, and a human being fully alive is the glory of God. You know, there was a time when Moses, having led the people out of Egypt, they were complaining. It was particularly irksome. And God says, stand aside, I'm going to wipe them out. And Moses says, just a small point, Lord. If you wipe them out because of their complaining, it's not going to go well for you. Now, can you imagine having this kind of conversation with God? I just want to point out, if you do what you're thinking of doing, it's not going to go well for you. Believe me, this is true. It's in the Bible, Exodus 32. You can read it after church. And what he says, he points out that other nations might say, their God couldn't deliver and bless them. Helpless, miserable people? That has to do with a helpless, miserable God. Moses, in essence, says, you don't want that at your feet, do you? You have a good strategy, God, and having your name blessed because your people feel blessed, I like it. It's delightful. It's invitational. Don't abandon this. And God didn't, and God hasn't. God cares about blessing. It's his strategy. It's his goal. It's how he gets glory. If he delights in us being delighted, if he gets glory by us being ignited, I mean, just think of Cape Canaveral and NASA and that rocket's red glare across the sky. Do you think when they see that, they're not going, cool, we have the coolest job in the world. Doesn't that look cool? And you think when God sees us ignited with joy and delight, that he doesn't go, yay, 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 cool, cool. And 3 parts of the Trinity are saying that to each other 1,000 times over. So, if he gets pleasure by our getting pleasure, A, he would have designed us for pleasure. He might have given us taste buds for tasting, skin for feeling, eyes for seeing, brains for thinking, souls for God. And guess what? He has. He has. He's built us for pleasure. And he gets pleasure by us getting pleasure. And then, if this is true, B, we best get after it. Get after the pennies of delight, and the dollars of ecstasy will take care of themselves. We best get after it. Our design is for it, and our fulfillment, our welfare, our contentment, our mission, not to mention God's glory itself, depends on it. It's serious business, this stuff of having pleasure. Bob Costas, the sports commentator, once said, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Get after doing it right, folks, brothers and sisters. It's what you want to do. Why do you want to do it? Because he made you to want to do it. It's what you're made to do, and it makes him happy when you're happy. I mentioned last week I did a wedding the other day, and part of my remarks in a wedding service are to talk about the gift of marriage. And at the end of it, I say, let marriage be held in high honor by all. It's not a slavish institution. And as much as it's dismissed by modern society, it's a gift. So how do you best honor marriage? Or let's bring it in a notch. How do you best honor the wife? The wife is most praised, is she not? Less by words of praise or an essay on love about her than by the husband's delight in her. She is exalted by being enjoyed. Nobody enjoys being put up with. We enjoy being enjoyed. And God is the same. We honor God by delighting in God. We glorify God by delighting in God. Okay, so we might have a Presbyterian or two in the house. And one of the things that is real Presbyterian is the Westminster Confession of Faith. There's a larger catechism, a shorter catechism. The first question of the shorter catechism is, what is the chief end of man? Answer, because that's what the catechism is, question, answer as a form of teaching. What is the chief end of man? Answer, to glorify God and enjoy him forever. You know what? It did not ask, what are the 2 chief ends of man? It didn't do that. It says, what's the one chief end of man? Answered it with synonyms. What are the synonyms? Synonyms. It's glorify and enjoy. What's a synonym? It's 2 ways of saying the same thing. Did you get that? If you want to glorify him, you have to enjoy him. If you want to enjoy him, you have to glorify him. Woo! Now, does anybody else kind of sit there and go, this sounds sort of self-indulgent? I mean, I've got lots of want-tos that want to ride heedless. But here's a caveat. We're not talking about enjoying bullying, and there can be some enjoyment in that. We're not talking about the joy of cheap sex. There can be some joy in that. We're not talking about the unchecked greed that hurts others. There can be some sadistic joy in that. We're not talking about eating candy until you have diabetes. There's a lot of fun in eating candy, but we're talking about sinking our teeth into the highest, deepest, most enduring pleasures. And these will always be regulated by caring for our and others and the planet's well-being. So, some thought is involved in this answer of be what you are by enjoying deeply. And I think that's part of what it means to be the church. We get together and say, I'm thinking about enjoying my socks off by doing this. Is that okay? Well, yes. Yes. So, we might have to get together to have some thought about it. Speaking of thought, you may have gotten this without being conscious of it, but we're talking about enjoying something, and enjoying something is more than enjoying it with our brains. It's not without thought, but it's also more than thought. Tasting salt is more than knowing the molecular structure of salt. As I've said before, the Puritan Jonathan Edwards says there's a humongous difference, humongous capital letters getting bolded, between knowing about honey and having the taste of honey on your tongue. The Hebrew way of knowing is always experiential, not merely cognitive. So we're not about, in this Christian faith of ours, disembodied souls, but embodied spirits. God made flesh. God became flesh. We enjoy life and God truthfully and sensually. Head and heart, soul and body, thoughts and affections, regard and exclamations. So, the name of this sermon is The Sacrifices I Made on the Sabbatical. You know, my sacrifice was to give up what I should do and do what I wanted to do. Yea, needed to do. I'm not so good at wanting to do. I'm better at needing to do. The Lilly Foundation, which funded the sabbatical, the directive was not to do what should make your heart sing, but to do what does make your heart sing. So my sacrificial effort, my sacrifice of praise, wasn't about extolling God despite my fatigue or depression. It was really about doing the work of answering the question, what makes my heart sing? The sacrifice was to try to reach down to the bottom of my socks and enjoy. Did you remember that real brief parable, the 2-verse parable about the pearl of great price? Now this is very important. The fella doesn't sacrifice and then gets joy. He gets joy and then sacrifices. And he would, if you said, did you sacrifice this? He would say, what? No, I went from joy to enjoy. That's the sequence. And that's what God has for us. You know, David Livingstone, December 4th, 1857, said to students at Cambridge University, sickness, danger, and the foregoing of conveniences now and then may make one pause. But let this only be for a moment. They are nothing compared to the glory which shall be revealed to us and in us and for us. No, don't look at me and think I made a sacrifice. No, I never made a sacrifice. So I didn't sacrifice either. Except maybe a sacrifice of joy. How about you? Could you work on your delight and make that a sacrifice? Oh, let's just not sacrifice. Let's just bring out by going in. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.